Okay, so forget everything you think you know about the myth of Medusa. Today, we're not just telling a story, we're opening a case file, one that's been cold for centuries. We are going to investigate the crime against Medusa.
I mean, just say the name and the image just pops into your head, right? This terrifying creature, a gorgon, with a head full of snakes and a look that could literally turn you to stone. For ages, she's been cast as one of mythology's biggest, baddest villains.
But that's not the whole story. Not even close. The monster you've been told about isn't where this case really begins. To get to the truth, you have to look past all that horror and find the victim.
So let's start peeling back the layers, shall we? Our investigation starts way before the snakes, way before the stone gaze. We have to answer the single most important question. Who was Medusa before she was turned into a monster? And here it is, Exhibit A in our case. The monster, we all know, was once a devout, beautiful, mortal woman. The Roman poet Ovid, who's really our main source here, said her beauty was legendary, especially her hair. And get this, she was a priestess, serving Athena, the virgin goddess of wisdom. A servant of the gods, not their enemy. And this is where our case file takes a seriously dark and violent turn. Because the first crime in this story wasn't committed by Medusa. It was committed against her. And it happened in the one place she should have been completely safe. The perpetrator? Poseidon, the all-powerful god of the sea. And the location? Athena's own sacred temple, a place Medusa should have been untouchable. A terrible act of desecration took place right there. But the official story of how it happened, well, that's where things start to fall apart. Now, this is the part that just blew my mind. Ovid leaves this crucial bit of ambiguity. Was it seduction or was it violation? And you have to think about the power dynamic here for a second. We're talking about a literal god and a mortal priestess. Could she have really consented? That single question is the absolute heart of this crime. So let's recap the crime scene. A god trespassed, a sacred space was defiled, a priestess was wronged. You'd think justice would be pretty straightforward, right? Aimed at the powerful god who caused this whole mess. But yeah, that's not what happened. Not at all. Because what came next wasn't justice. The verdict that Athena handed down was more than just cruel. It was a complete and horrifying betrayal. This is the exact moment in our case file where the victim is officially reframed as the villain. So let's get this perfectly straight. Athena, furious that her temple was defiled, chose to completely ignore the powerful god responsible for it. Instead, she unleashed every ounce of her rage on the victim, her very own priestess, Medusa.
And the punishment itself? Wow. It was a masterpiece of cruelty. First, her famous hair, the very thing that might have attracted Poseidon in the first place, was twisted into a crown of living, venomous snakes. Then her eyes, once used for prayer, were cursed, turned into an uncontrollable weapon. And finally, she was banished, exiled to some desolate island at the edge of the world, totally and completely alone. She was systematically unmade as a human being and rebuilt into a monster. Right? The god of the sea, the powerful guy who started this whole catastrophic chain of events. What happened to him? What was his punishment? Absolutely nothing. He faced zero consequences. Medusa lost her beauty, her fate, her humanity, her home, and Poseidon just walked away. The injustice is it's staggering. And if you think that's the end of it, wait, it gets so much darker. Because the story doesn't end with Medusa alone on an island. Years later, a so-called hero enters the picture, and his quest, it's nothing less than a sanctioned hit. See, the whole mission was a setup. This King Polydectes wanted the hero Perseus out of the picture, so he sends him on this impossible quest to kill the monster Medusa, pretty much expecting him to fail and die. Perseus was just a pawn, sent to execute a victim.
And to pull off this assassination, Perseus gets this whole kit of divine gadgets. Winged sandals for a quick, stealthy approach, a helmet that makes him invisible, a special bag to, contain the evidence, and a polished shield. But where he got that last item, that's the most chilling detail of all.
Yup, Athena, the very same goddess who created this monster, now provides the weapon to kill her. She gives Perseus the one tool he needs to get around her own curse, so he can sneak in and murder Medusa while she's sleeping. It is the ultimate, final act of betrayal. But the injustice doesn't stop even when she's dead. Even after she's gone, her body, her legacy, they continue to be violated, twisted into something she never ever chose. No, seriously, get this. As Perseus cuts her head off, the children from Poseidon's assault literally spring out of her neck. The winged horse Pegasus and a giant named Chrysaor. It's this final, graphic, horrifying reminder that she carried the trauma of that crime inside her right up until the very end. And her head, oh, her head gets desecrated even more. First, Perseus weaponizes it, using it to turn all his enemies to stone. But then comes the final, unbelievable insult. He gives the head to Athena, who mounts it on her shield. Medusa's suffering face becomes a trophy of war for the very goddess who destroyed her life. And this is exactly why this case file is so important today. We are finally rereading the evidence. And modern interpretations, they don't see a monster. They see a tragic victim. They see a powerful symbol for survivors, a figure of justified female rage against a system that completely and utterly failed her. So the final question I want to leave you with is this. When Athena put that head on her shield, was it really a trophy celebrating a hero's victory over some monster? Or was it something far more sinister, a warning to other victims about what happens when your suffering finally turns into rage? The case might be closed, but the verdict, well, that's up to you.